Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Hey, guess what? It's time for Making Kayfabe with your hosts, Bryce and Dylan.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Making Kayfabe, the fantasy booking podcast where two writers rebook some of wrestling's biggest missed opportunities, and can you believe it, this is officially season number 6. My name is Bryce, I'm joined as always by my good friend Dylan, and today, to kick off season 6, and the very first of 8 episodes we have planned for this season, I'm going to be taking you through my rebooking of Cody Rhodes in AEW. Of course, he left for WWE this year, but what would have happened if Cody Rhodes stayed with AEW? What if the much-hinted heel turn actually took place? And hey, what if Cody set his sights on the Forbidden Championship, the world title? How would AEW book themselves out of that corner? Well, it's all coming up, but first we simply have to find out. How are you, Dylan?
I'm good, man. I'm really excited to hear this rebooking because not only is it the start of season 6, a big bombastic start to this season. Thank you very much for everybody tuning in who's stuck with us this far. Season 6, it's amazing. So not only are we starting off with a bang with Cody Rhodes, but I know how excited you have been about writing this. You were like, oh, I've got it's come along perfectly. You want to see what's happening. And then Cody Rhodes, he's like tied to the train tracks and the train's coming. How are we going to solve the problem?
Whoa, spoilers.
But that's what I mean. I'm like, you have to listen to the show to find out. And we're about to find out exactly how it looks like Cody. There's no way he's going to be able to untie himself from the train tracks, but but there's always a way, you know.
I have to frantically rewrite my ending here, damn it.
Yeah. Who is the villain who ties Cody Rhodes to the train tracks?
Let's say Kid Cash.
Okay, let's take it, Cash.
I was trying to think of the most random wrestler I can think of. The answer to the most random wrestler ever is Kid Cash.
That's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty out there. And
you didn't see it coming.
No, I didn't. I really didn't. You know, but here's the thing. I know he would get a hell of a pop from that AEW crowd to be like, "It's Kid Cash."
Yeah, he's from ECW. Yeah, former cruiserweight champion in WWE, right?
Was he? I don't even fucking remember.
Everybody was at some time. I mean, like, yeah, Funaki was.
Yeah, I wasn't, but that's
Jimmy Wang Yang wasn't.
No, that's true. He wasn't. That's a crime, and we'll be hearing all about that next week on my rebooking of Jimmy Wang Yang.
Also, for everyone who tuned in to hear Cody Rhodes, I'm sorry to say we're now rebooking Kid Cash.
We're doing Kid Cash. Yeah,
it's Kid Cash. It's a Kid Cash AEW heel turn.
Yes, the people, you guys don't know that you want it, but really, when you hear it, you're like, that's the show we wanted.
It's gonna do that control replace kind of thing. Just replace Cody Rhodes with Kid Cash and just like Kid Cash and his wife Brandy.
After Kid Cash said he would never fight for the AEW championship again, like, did he?
The American Nightmare, Kid Cash.
Yeah, Kid Cash ties Kid Cash to the railway tracks. Like, I thought that was Cody.
That's it. Kid Cash's evil twin brother, but
who is also called Kid Cash.
Also Kid Cash. It's really hard to tell them apart. So named them the same as well. I mean,
yeah, and they are identical twins.
In all seriousness, it's about Cody Rhodes. And Dylan, I know you're not like a weekly viewer of AEW. I think you check out some shows. Like, what do you know about Cody Rhodes' AEW run?
I really like Cody Rhodes. I thought when AEW started, Cody Rhodes was going to be one of the guys that I would pay attention to. And he really was. Like, I liked a lot of the stuff he did. The stuff he did with MJF was fun. You know, I feel like you kind of touched upon it earlier, but I feel like they went for the Cody Rhodes can't challenge for the belt angle like too quickly, in my opinion. I feel like you could have milked that. There could have been some good stuff there.
That was very early.
Yeah, and the same with the MJF Cody feud, because they kind of aligned Cody and MJF together, and I'm like, again, that seemed really quick as well. I'm like, you could totally milk this for like a couple more months, but I still enjoyed that kind of stuff. I think Cody Rhodes has done, he's really done some memorable stuff on that show, and I always liked Cody Rhodes. And so I was interested in his stuff. And it's a shame whenever sometimes he kind of pop in and out, he'd be like, I got to go and film a reality TV show.
Yeah.
I got to go and be a host of a game show, whatever the fuck he's doing. And you're like, if they just put him on TV all the time, or not even all the time, but like kind of more consistently, instead of just him popping in and out, that's what they need. You need consistency to keep people invested.
Yeah, for sure. And like it's funny you mentioned that. We'll talk about this in a bit later, but it's with Cody Rhodes' run, that might be one of the reasons he got booed so much towards the end about leaving for the reality shows and stuff like that. Because there was a time towards the end of his run where he did like everything he could to get like a babyface reaction from the crowd, but still, like, towards the end of his run, he was being just venomously booed, and like, there's probably a few reasons for that, which we'll go into. But I mean, what do you think the main reasons for that are?
Well, I do agree with you in that reaction from the fans could have come from the fact that he was kind of popping in and out. Like, I don't really like the Young Bucks that much. That's been on record. But to their credit, like, they're on TV every week. They're there. They're putting the work in.
Sure.
I think they've been on every single AEW pay-per-view. They're out there doing that. And in the eyes of some of the fans, maybe Cody Rhodes wasn't exactly doing that, And I think maybe they thought he was kind of coasting a little bit. So I think that could be it. And
part-timer.
Yeah, kind of, which is funny because, AEW's only started. So for one of their, executive vice presidents to suddenly start doing a part-time gimmick, you're like, that's a bit quick, I don't really know. I feel like part of it was the refusal to acknowledge the heel turn as well. The fact that he kind of doubled down on being a good guy made people dislike him even more, which I think both of us can agree should have been the impetus to turn heel. Him doubling down as a good guy should have been to lead to an eventual heel turn, because that's him really trying to put over how good of a guy he is, and then he turns heel, and he would have had more like impact to it.
It all but looked like he was going for that heel turn as well, but they never did, and it's eerily similar to WWE and John Cena, right? Just like having him heel, having him babyface constantly. He's getting booed out the building. He's still a babyface. Like they're sticking to their guns on it, and like Cody Rhodes became that, and like I always thought the heel turn was going to come. I thought it was going to come, and just we had to wait for the big moment. He's just being this super babyface, and like despite the fans' reaction, but it's bizarre we never got it, and I don't understand why. And that's kind of why we're here today.
I would have said it would have been best for business to turn Cody Rhodes heel. But I do like, there's part of me that's like kind of really loves the fact that everybody was like, he should have been a heel. He's like, no, I'm sticking with it, and then I'm leaving. He's like, fuck you. I thought that was strange. It's like if I was a booker, and Lord knows we have a show where we can do that, I would have turned him heel. And I haven't heard your rebooking. I suspect you are in the same camp.
Yes, absolutely. My booking of the heel turn is that I haven't turned him heel yet.
Yeah, he still is. But isn't that like, wouldn't that be the most extreme heel where he's just still like, everybody's booing him, and he's just like hugging them and like patting them on the head. I love my fans, and they all like hate him. Like, that could work as a heel.
He is a heel, but he does babyface things. It's like like how MJF was in Long Island. He's acting like a babyface, but he is the biggest heel. But all right, let's we've got a fantasy booking of Cody Rhodes' heel turn coming up. But first, let's do a brief catch up on where we're at so that we can set the scene. So Cody Rhodes, the talk of wrestling in the first quarter of 2022, but his story as it relates to today's booking starts in 2017, and on May 16th, 2017, a wrestling fan who had no clue what he was about to start tweeted journalist Dave Meltzer a question: do you think ROH can ever sell out an arena with 10,000 plus fans, something like Madison Square Garden? And Meltzer famously replied, not anytime soon.
Good old Meltzer.
Which was the undersell of the decade.
Boy, he gets them right every time, doesn't he?
But that prompted Cody Rhodes to reply 10 minutes later, saying, I'll take that bet, Dave. And what I bet it was, it led to the creation of All In, the first non-WWE or WCW event to sell out over 10,000 tickets since 1993. The final count is actually how much down?
10,004.
Ooh, 11,263.
I was kind of close.
You were within 2,000,
Yeah, sorry.
But anyway, this caught the attention of one Anthony Rafik Khan, who contacted Cody and his business partners, the Young Bucks. Trademarks were filed and All Elite Wrestling was created, and this made a lot of people very angry and is widely being regarded as a bad move. But in reality, regardless of your opinion on AEW, I think it's undeniable that its creation changed the wrestling world for the better. You didn't get that Hitchhiker's reference, no?
I haven't seen it.
Seen it, you need to read it.
I haven't. I can't read. You know this.
Oh, that's right, I forgot about that.
I'm not allowed to.
Anyway, Cody Rhodes was made an executive vice president of AEW and quickly became a huge part of their pay-per-views and Dynamite, their weekly television show, getting onto a string of wins, one of which included the excellent match with Dustin Rhodes at Double or Nothing. Go out your way to see that one. He eventually earned a shot at Chris Jericho's World Championship at Full Gear 2019. On the November 6th episode of Dynamite, Cody announced that if he were to lose at Full Gear, he would never challenge for the AEW World Championship again. Well, Cody lost, and true to his word, he never challenged for the World Championship again. Instead, he'd put his focus on building up future stars of AEW, entering into feuds with characters like MJF, Darby Allin, Anthony Ogogo, Sammy Guevara, and Shaquille O'Neal. From 2020 to 22, he would win the TNT title 3 times as a strong fan favourite babyface through and through, putting in gutsy performances, taking part in dangerous stunts like literally setting himself on fire, for example. But despite it, the crowd's reaction to him was starting to sour somewhat. And now we talked about it at the start there, but it's open to anyone's interpretation because I don't think there's one prevalent reason that the fans started to boo Cody. I mean, like I said, he got the John Cena treatment, as in, getting lots of hate despite being pushed as a top babyface. One reason I thought was just Cody Rhodes' overall presentation. He was always wearing expensive suits. He always had the hugely fancy entrances with tons of pyro, and he's on special stage to lift him up onto the fucking podium. He was also frequently part of segments which kind of verged on cringy, and things his character did kind of often came across as try-hard, like on the nose kind of a critique of AEW's rivals, like hey fuck WWE, am I right guys, that kind of stuff. I'm sure we all remember the fucking sledgehammer to the throne, which is just, I don't know, I thought that was cringe.
Yeah, how did that work out for you, Cody?
yeah look at you now.
Oops.
Oh boy. But as a parallel to the John Cena comparisons, Cody's character never really changed from day one, which could have led him to becoming stale. He also, as you noted down, he went part-time and started focusing on his reality show as well as a game show on the TNT network, which often rubs wrestling fans the wrong way. They don't like part-timers. And then eventually, the more fans booed Cody, the more fun it became for them in a strange way, with everyone getting on it just for a laugh. And I don't know what the exact turning point was, but soon enough, there was just no turning back. AEW had to turn Cody heel. He would never be salvaged as a babyface with a stubborn crowd who would never accept it. By the very end of his AEW run, Cody was being venomously booed. He even started slightly leaning into the negative reaction, leading fans to, assume that a Cody Rhodes heel turn was coming, but it never came. And in a complete shocker, which undoubtedly will end up as one of the biggest stories of 2022, Cody wrestled his final match for AEW on January 26th and announced his departure from his company on February 15th. A month later, he was under contract to WWE, becoming the first high-profile switch from AEW to WWE. But what if the heel turn really did happen? What kind of story could AEW have weaved with a heel Cody Rhodes who undoubtedly would get a huge amount of heat from every crowd he stood in front of? I think if Cody Rhodes stayed, AEW could have run some serious, compelling storylines, so hey, why don't we explore that now? Let's do it. Let's book the Cody Rhodes heel turn in AEW. Alright, we're going to start today's fantasy booking in the future. Welcome to the world of tomorrow!
See, I got that reference.
There you go, you got that one. You get that one.
I'm a cultured man.
Yeah. Apart from not reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, but I've seen Futurama, so same difference,
Yeah,
right?
fair enough. Yeah, same difference, yeah. As we record this, it's the middle of May 2022, and currently Double or Nothing is a fortnight away, and in the main event, it's due to be Hangman Adam Page defending his AEW World Title against Charles Montgomery Punk, aka CM Punk.
Which I like. That's a good matchup, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's one of the things, I mean, yeah, this is going to be mute if you are listening to this in 2 weeks' time, but it's hard to tell who wins that one, really.
If it were us and we're the bookers, I would have Hangman Page win it.
I'd have Punk.
I
really would have Punk.
Like you said,
I'd have
though,
a Punk heel turn.
like you said, there's arguments for both, I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely, that's right. It's it's a tough one, but I'd be turning Punk heel and then having him screw Hangman in some way. But hey, let's see who's right in a couple of weeks. But,
Okay.
we're gonna keep the main event the same, but if it wasn't clear already, this is a Cody Rhodes heel turn in AEW, so he did not debut for WWE at WrestleMania.
Who did Seth Rollins fight at WrestleMania?
Kid Cash.
I was just about to say Kid Cash. What a matchup.
Oh man, anytime there's a mystery man in our stories from now on, it's just like, is it Kid Cash?
Yeah.
Oh boy. As it stands in this story, Cody Rhodes has not been seen since losing his TNT title to Sammy Guevara in late January. We've seen stories about him leaving AEW and possibly joining WWE, but nobody has heard from Cody in over 4 months. Nobody knows what he's doing. So during the Double or Nothing pay-per-view on May 29th, 2022, we're going to start subtle. Literally, there's going to be like a random interview backstage in the parking lot of the arena. Maybe the Inner Circle have just arrived via limousine, or Sting and Darby Allin have arrived on quad bikes. I don't know. Whatever it is, we're in the parking lot. And let's say Inner Circle just to set the scene. So Alex Marvez, AEW's backstage interviewer, he comes up to interview Chris Jericho, and while it's not completely obvious, in the background of the interview, we see the tour bus of Cody Rhodes. The Nightmare Express, as he calls it, paying homage to the Lex Express. AEW fans will know that this is featured in a few episodes of Dynamite before, but if you want to get some context, just Google Cody Rhodes bus and you'll see it.
Don't Google John Cena bus.
No.
It would be a very different story.
That joke is only makes sense.
That's
to
for
our
the
patrons.
Patreons.
Yeah.
If you want to understand that joke, our Patreon page, patreon.com/Making Kayfabe.
Oh man, it's a great sell. But and nothing else happens there. It's just a tease. And guarantee it though, somebody is going to notice this bus. They're going to post it on Reddit. They're going to post it on Twitter. And then all of a sudden, everyone's wondering when Cody's going to show up. It's obviously no coincidence that his bus is in the arena parking lot. And in the main event of the show, as stated, we have Hangman Adam Page versus CM Punk for the AEW World Title. And as we said, it's clearly going to be a great match. We'll have them go 50 minutes or so, so they're nice and tired. But in the end, Hangman Page is going to defeat CM Punk with the buckshot lariat, retaining his world title. His entrance music plays for about 5 seconds, but then it's cut off. And then we hear, "Wrestling has more than one royal family," followed by the entrance music of a returning Cody Rhodes. So this is a big surprise, so the fans cheer, even though they've previously jeered the American Nightmare. Hangman Page stands in the middle of the ring, completely exhausted after a 50-minute bout with the best in the world. He is extremely confused as Cody Rhodes walks out onto the Double or Nothing stage, and Cody is wearing his wrestling gear. Wait a minute, what? Excalibur, JR, and Tony Schiavone start questioning what's going on as Cody Rhodes brings a microphone to his lips. And he says, "I'm sure you're all surprised to see me. Hey, who enjoyed Double or Nothing tonight? What a show, right?" So, standard babyface
Sounds like
shit,
a face,
right?
yeah, sounds like a face.
Yeah, that's it. So it sounds very facey right now. And that's what happens at the end of a lot of wrestling shows. You get some stars coming out to the ring to interact with the fans for a while. So maybe this is the post-show or something. Anyway, it's enough to leave a shade of doubt in the mind of the audience and the viewer at home. But then Cody Rhodes continues to say, "What a fantastic fighting champion Hangman Page is. That was a grueling match. You really dug deep to get that win and retain your AEW World Title. A belt which stands for the spirit of this great wrestling promotion, which, well, I'm sure I don't need to remind you all that I created. That belt, they call it Pretty Platinum, and well, all I've ever been able to do since Full Gear 2019 is admire it from afar. Because I'm a man of my word, right? I'm a stand-up guy, right? 3 years ago, I put my right to challenge for that belt on the line and I lost, so there's no way I can ever get my hands on it, right?" And he pauses, looking around at the audience, who are starting to suspect that some shit is going on. Cody follows up and says, "Wrong. Come on, you people don't think I'm actually that stand-up guy, right? Do you people really think I'm a man of my word? Hey, I tried, alright? I tried to be the company man and go out there every night and risk my life by putting myself in dangerous matches, dangerous situations against dangerous people. And the fact of the matter is that I'm sick of trying to change the AEW audience's perception of me. So you know what? You're all absolutely right. I am a piece of shit and I don't care. All I care about is what I want. And what I want is Pretty Platinum." So Hangman Page is still in the ring, questioning what the hell is going on. Even CM Punk has come to now as he rests his head in the bottom turnbuckle, looking up at Cody Rhodes. Cody continues, "You may all laugh and say that I want what I can't have, but that's not necessarily true because there are a few lucky coincidences here tonight. Firstly, we've got about, 10 minutes of this pay-per-view left. You guys went 50 minutes, you see. Secondly, I really, really want that championship. I want Pretty Platinum. And thirdly, I am the executive vice president of AEW and I can do whatever the hell I want. So referee, stay right there because we are not done tonight." And to the surprise of everyone, Cody Rhodes starts advancing towards the ring, evidently in an effort to take on Hangman Page for the AEW World Title. A couple of AEW's other EVPs, the Young Bucks, they come out and try and stop him. They stand in front of him, saying over and over again, "You can't challenge for a world title. You cannot challenge for a world title." But they fail as Cody Rhodes pushes right through them. AEW World Champion Hangman Page looks on as Cody Rhodes enters the ring, and then BAM! Cody Rhodes eats a roundhouse kick from CM Punk. Cody Rhodes immediately flies back out of the ring, landing in a heap on the arena floor. He sits up, clutching his forehead where Punk's boot made contact. CM Punk stands next to Hangman Page in a sign of unity. Those two just went through 50 minutes of hell together, and there's a clear mutual respect. Cody is not happy though. In fact, he's fucking furious. He grabs the microphone again as the Young Bucks watch from behind, and Punk and Hangman watch from the front. Cody Rhodes, clearly embarrassed, addresses CM Punk. Punk, you stupid son of a bitch. This isn't about you. This was never about you. And here you are yet again, shooing yourself into a situation you have nothing to do with. Didn't you listen to me 3 minutes ago? I am the EVP of AEW. I will be respected. And unfortunately for you, Punk, you just showed some pretty severe disrespect. You just showed insubordination. So you know what? You know what, Punk? You're fired. You're fired. This is your final AEW show. You're fired. CM Punk scoffs in the ring. He's like, is this guy serious? The crowd have been whipped into a frenzy. They cannot stand Cody Rhodes right now. The Young Bucks start to drag Cody away, taking one arm each, but Cody still has the microphone. "You're finished, Punk. No one's going to hire you anymore. Your asking price is too damn high, and your prime was 15 years ago. And as for you, Hangman, I'll deal with you on Wednesday." And that's the final thing we hear. Double or Nothing goes off the air in complete calamity. In the last 15 minutes, Cody Rhodes returned, tried to go against the stipulation of him never fighting for the world title, and apparently he fired CM Punk? What the hell is going on? I guess we're going to have to wait to Dynamite to find out for sure. So we get to Dynamite, June 1st, 2022, and at the very top of the show, Excalibur passes on a note from AEW President Tony Khan saying that he is doing everything he can to rectify the situation in regards to CM Punk. He assures the fans that there will be an update soon, but that CM Punk will not be appearing on Dynamite tonight until everything is sorted. The first match of the show is going to be Hangman Adam Page versus somebody in the roster that he'd have a great 10-minute match with, let's say Ricky Starks for the sake of conversation. Hangman wins the match with the Buckshot Lariat, holds the AEW title high above his head, and then out comes Cody Rhodes once again. But this time, Cody Rhodes has security with him. Tony Schiavone on commentary sighs and asks, "Oh, what now?" There must be between 1 and 2 dozen security guards following Cody Rhodes down to the ring. Cody is dressed in one of his multi-$1,000 suits. He has a bruise on his forehead from where Punk kicked him a few nights ago, but it doesn't affect the massive smile that's on his face. A bunch of security guards get into the ring, separating Hangman from Cody Rhodes, who enters the ring shortly afterwards. Classic cowardly move, bringing security in, it will draw instant heat from the crowd, but not as much as they're going to get in a couple of minutes. Cody gets on the microphone as he stands at one side of the ring. Hangman stands on the other, with every single security guard separating them. Cody reviews the events that happened at Double or Nothing. He tries to explain that maybe he lost his head a bit, and actually starts to apologise to Hangman for trying to get the jump on him. He reveals that he and Tony Khan had a chat, and that he has seen the error of his ways, so hopes that Hangman can accept the apology, and then we can move past this. Hangman is of course suspicious. Why did he bring out security just to apologise? Something isn't right here. He asks Cody what the deal is. And Cody says, "Oh, that's right, there is one more unfortunate piece of business that we have to address here." And Hangman, I'm sorry to say, you're probably not going to be a big fan of this announcement. I've got security here to keep the peace and make sure nothing gets out of hand, because I'm aware that people can get very violent once they've got a few drinks in them. And there's a pause, a stunned pause. You know, what is Cody Rhodes saying right now? Commentators are equally stumped. The audience start booing because once again they had the feeling that something unsavory is about to happen. Cody continues, "Hangman, you've always loved a drink, haven't you? It's been no secret, especially during your time in AEW. Well, I gotta say, your enthusiasm for a good drink caused a tad of concern in the office. So we ordered a toxicology report to make sure you were on the right side of legality as it comes to your AEW contract. And unfortunately, and I'm really sorry to say this, but we got the results back this afternoon."
You're pregnant.
Congratulations!
It's a boy!
It's like, you're pregnant as a boy right away, all in one.
He's like, I didn't even notice.
Instant pregnancy.
To be fair, though, despite the pregnancy bit, that's a really good idea. Why has nobody else done that?
That's it. That's why we're doing it.
That is true.
Tony Khan's obviously listening.
He's
to the
taking
podcast
notes.
and
He's
he's got his little notepad out. Yeah.
He's like, this is way better than listening to that Russo guy. Yeah?
Exactly. Those 3 Russo videos last week. Yeah. Cody continues. He says, "Adam, you were over the limit for your AEW World Title defense on Sunday night against CM Punk. I won't bore you with the details. I'm sure we can share the full report with you, but your blood alcohol levels were far above what we would expect from a performer going into a match of extreme importance to this company. You've really let us down, Adam. We have a duty of care for our employees. It really is a shame to see our world champion of all people disrespect that duty of care. And so it brings me great pain to say that since you have gone against what is contractually expected of you, Adam Page, you are being served with a suspension until further notice." And the crowd boo violently. First he tries to fire CM Punk, now he's suspending Adam Page. What in the hell is going on with this guy? And Cody continues, "As for what this means for the AEW World Title, well, We can't have an inactive champion here. So, as Executive Vice President of All Elite Wrestling, I, Cody Rhodes, officially state that Hangman Page has now been stripped of the World Championship effective immediately. Security, please take him away. And Hangman Page tries his darndest to break through the security to extract some form of revenge on Cody Rhodes, but there are simply too many of them. Cody stands there with a smug look on his face. As security pull Hangman from the ring, the AEW World title is left on the canvas of the ring. Cody walks over to the title, he picks it up, he slings it over his own shoulder and smiles. He gives a big Cheshire Cat grin, looking right into the hard camera as former champion Adam Page is taken away. The commentators speculate that something isn't right here. Adam Page enjoys to drink like a lot of people, but is not the kind of man who would go into a world title match over the limit. There's more to this story for sure, but we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Dynamite rolls on without a world champion. Dynamite, June 8th. Alright, so a lot of shit has happened, and we're only a couple of weeks into Cody's return. Via social media, it is confirmed that Adam Page's suspension is legitimate, as well as his stripping of the title. Apparently, the toxicology reports which Cody Rhodes provided were legitimate, as the tests were ran by a reputable company hired by Cody himself. We don't yet know the length of the suspension for Adam Page. With that in mind though, Tony Khan has blocked the firing of CM Punk, at least for now. There's still some things that need to be straightened out by lawyers, but it's promised that CM Punk will appear on Dynamite next week. In the meantime, Cody Rhodes is going to kick off Dynamite. He's going to walk down to the ring holding the AEW World title, which of course is not his, and he'll cut a promo. He'll apologise to the fans for what happened last week. Not an apology from him, Cody Rhodes, of course. Certainly not. He's apologising on behalf of Adam Page for letting down the fans, for not preaching the right message as champion, for not being able to handle the pressure of being a champion without dumping a whole load of toxins into his body. Cody basically completely runs down Hangman Page in his absence, which the crowd obviously are hating. Especially since Cody is doing it with a shit-eating grin and the AEW World title hanging over his shoulder. But he gets interrupted. Not by Hangman Page, not by CM Punk, but by the Dark Order, a group very closely related to Hangman Page and AEW lore. We covered this a lot in the Tommy End episode a couple of seasons back, but yeah, Hangman Page is a friend of the Dark Order, and this is what Evil Uno of the Dark Order says to Cody Rhodes in the ring. They know that something suspicious is going on with Cody Rhodes and those toxicology reports, but they can't do anything about it. What they can do is give Cody Rhodes a little bit of a receipt in Hangman Page's absence. And Cody's all like, whoa fellas, there are 6 of you and only 1 of me, this isn't fair. And Evil Uno agrees. That's why he's spoken to Tony Khan and arranged tonight's main event, Cody Rhodes versus John Silver of the Dark Order. Cody smirks, Johnny Silver does Johnny Hungy things, and the segment ends. So we get to the main event, it's Cody Rhodes versus John Silver, but as Cody makes his way down to the ring, he does so with the AEW World title around his waist now. Let me remind you that Cody has not won this belt. Cody cannot win this belt, yet here he is, proudly displaying an object of prestige which does not belong to him. That's not all either. Cody Rhodes comes out with a few friends. Accompanying Cody to the ring are the Factory. Dylan, are you aware of the Factory?
I'm aware of a factory.
It's not the factory we're thinking of, I don't think.
Oh, the box factory?
It's not the box factory.
Then I'm all out of ideas.
The Factory are a faction in AEW. A quick bit about them: they're made up of trainees from the Nightmare Factory gym, e.g. the wrestling school ran by Cody Rhodes and his brother Dustin. QT Marshall, the quote leader of the Factory, also coaches in the school. And in this faction we have Anthony Ogogo, the famous boxer. We have Nick Comoroto, a huge fucking mountain of a man with a hell of a look. He looks like a freaking caveman, and it's awesome. And we also have Aaron Solo, a guy with tons of potential who's still developing. Cody has a bit of history with the Factory. He was actually in a storyline with them a year or so ago when they were fighting against him. But now it seems as though they have reconvened. And as Cody Rhodes removes the AEW title from his person, QT Marshall, Ogogo, Comoroto and Solo take possession of it, looking after it just in case anyone tries to steal it away from them. Just realised that all their names end with O. or the O sound. Ogogo, Comoroto, Solo.
Marshall.
There you go.
Oh.
Marshall. Marcello.
Marshmallow sounds way better.
QT Marshmallow. Yeah.
That's way better. Phone him up. Tell him you got a good idea for him.
That's it. I'll give him a shout after this. Cody versus John Silver happens, and unfortunately for Silver and the Dark Order, Cody wins this one. He beats Silver in around 15 minutes and then leaves the ring, once again donning the AEW World title around his waist. Dynamite ends there. Dynamite, June 15th. It is announced via Twitter that CM Punk has been rehired by Tony Khan. The initial firing was not lawful, it was done on a complete whim without reason, and the fans completely supported the return of CM Punk to the active roster. As Dynamite starts, Excalibur explains that as an apology to Mr. Punk, he will receive a number 1 contendership match. If he wins, he will be put in a match for the AEW World title, which is of course currently vacant. The full match itself is not announced, but suddenly, Cult of Personality hits through the PA system and out comes CM Punk to loud cheers from the crowd. CM Punk addresses the firing. He claims that at Double or Nothing, he saw that some horrible shit was going to go down, so he intervened. Simple as that. Cody Rhodes should really be thanking Punk for kicking him in the head, because if Cody had left as AEW World Champion that night as he intended to, he'll have had much bigger worries coming his way, most likely inside a courtroom. Punk says he doesn't know what bullshit Cody Rhodes was trying to pull at Double or Nothing, but it's bullshit that AEW does not put up with. Cody may have helped create AEW, but he does not own AEW. Even Tony Khan does not truly own AEW. The fans do. Without the fans, there was no AEW, and at Double or Nothing, Cody was trying to screw the fans. He was trying to screw every fan who got invested into Cody's match against Chris Jericho at Full Gear 2019. Punk states that AEW have never gone back in a stipulation, and they never will. So Cody comes out, wearing the AEW World title. He congratulates Punk on retaining his job as an active wrestler. He intentionally ignores everything that Punk has just said about stipulations and focuses on the match later tonight, where CM Punk has a number 1 contendership opportunity against somebody. And Cody says he knows who that someone is. He knows because he booked the match. So Cody Rhodes says that he sees no reason to keep these people waiting. Cody Rhodes announces who CM Punk has to beat tonight to earn a shot at the AEW World title. It is
Kid Cash.
QT Marshall.
Oh.
I should have said Kid Cash. It's not Kid Cash, unfortunately. He's still tied to the train tracks.
Someone's got to save him.
Kid Cash.
The train's coming soon.
Get in there. He's going to be facing QT Marshall.
Marshmallow.
And QT Marshmallow. And Nick Comoroto. And Aaron Solo. And Anthony Ogogo. In fact, Punk will be facing the entire factory tonight in a gauntlet match. 4 matches, one after the other, with Punk having to win all of them to be considered number 1 contender. Tony Khan asked Cody to book CM Punk in a one-on-one match, but he didn't say how many one-on-one matches. This will happen tonight, so Cody advises that Punk better go and prepare himself. The segment ends. Later in the night, the gauntlet match takes place. CM Punk will have to survive all 4 members of the factory, one after the other. First out is Aaron Solo. CM Punk defeats him in 5 minutes, easy. Second out is QT Marshmallow. CM Punk defeats him in 10 minutes, but at the end, you can tell that Punk is starting to tire a bit. The third fresh man comes out, Big Nick Comoroto, and this is the heat portion of the gauntlet match, as Comoroto just beats on Punk and beats on Punk. Eventually though, Punk is able to score a quick surprise roll-up victory on Comoroto, leading to the entry of the 4th man, the very dangerous Anthony Ogogo. So Ogogo beats the crap out of Punk too, but Punk gets a comeback in. He's hitting his comeback sequence as Cody Rhodes starts walking down to the ring with a steel chair in hand. Cody Rhodes gets onto the apron as a very timely QT Marshmallow distracts the referee. He throws the chair into the ring towards Anthony Ogogo, but then suddenly out comes Dustin Rhodes, of all people, Cody's brother. Dustin pulls Cody down from the apron and starts shouting at him, pointing an angry finger in his face, essentially telling him off for being a dick and trying to sway the match with cheating. This momentarily distracts Anthony Ogogo, which gives Punk the perfect opportunity to turn Ogogo around, hit him with a DDT onto the chair, push the chair out of the ring, and pin Anthony Ogogo 1-2-3. Punk has survived the gauntlet. CM Punk is the number 1 contender. The Factory stormed the ring as CM Punk exits via the crowd, celebrating with his people. Dynamite ends with Cody Rhodes shouting at Punk, holding the world title, saying, "You'll never get your hands on this, never." Next week, Dynamite, June 22nd. It is announced that CM Punk's match for the AEW World title will take place next week at Fyter Fest. Now, quick note, in real life, AEW hasn't actually announced Fyter Fest yet, but it's traditionally taken place around the June-July time of year, so I'm making an educated guess here, basically. But that's next week. This week, Cody Rhodes is going to come out donning the AEW title as per, and he's going to call out his brother Dustin. The legendary Dustin Rhodes, much loved, much respected, but potentially in the bad books of Cody after his interference last week, which led to a CM Punk victory. Cody calls out Dustin. Dustin comes out, scoffing at Cody wearing the AEW World title around his waist. Dustin reminds Cody that he is not the AEW World Champion, which Cody ignores, and goes on to talk about how Dustin got involved in the match last week. Cody lets Dustin in on something that he's just heard backstage. Apparently CM Punk will be going one-on-one with somebody for the AEW World Championship at Fyter Fest. And well, apparently that somebody is going to be Dustin Rhodes. Dustin's face lights up. He is getting a world title shot. His career record is an impressive 33-15 as we record this, so maybe this is him finally getting his due. Finally getting a shot at a world title all these years into his career. But Cody says apparently, because apparently depends on Dustin making it to Fyter Fest in one piece. And at that moment, the Factory sliver into the ring. Big Nick Comoroto stands behind Dustin and pulls his arms behind his back as Anthony Ogogo starts laying in lefts and rights to the body and face of the defenceless Dustin Rhodes. QT Marshall and Aaron Solo shout encouragement at Ogogo and Comoroto as Cody Rhodes leans back into one of the corners of the ring, casually observing the beatdown with one hand on his AEW World Championship. When Ogogo is finished, poor Dustin is a bloody mess. He's busted open and dripping blood everywhere, but Comoroto doesn't let him go. No, he points Dustin to Faith Cody. Cody shouts at Dustin, "Traitor!" and then runs across the ring to crack Dustin with the hard side of the world title. Dustin's blood is now in the championship, and finally, out comes some help. CM Punk starts running down to the ring, steel chair in hand, and he immediately starts swinging. He smacks Aaron Solo with the chair as QT Marshall, Comoroto and Ogogo exit. Cody frantically picks up the championship, which isn't his, and then exits too. Punk then tends to Dustin Rhodes in the middle of the ring as medical personnel come out to check on him. With Cody on the ramp and the Factory carrying their fallen comrade Aaron Solo backstage, CM Punk grabs a microphone. He points words like daggers in the direction of Cody Rhodes, who clutches the AEW World title closely to his chest. Punk says, "You know, I'd have been out here a whole lot quicker if somebody didn't barricade the goddamn men's locker room." Luckily, the person who barricaded it was too dumb to realise that Luchasaurus was inside the room at the same time, so he made quick work of that. With that in mind, Mr. EVP, the owners of this building ain't going to be too happy about what just happened to their door. I am completely sick of you, Cody Rhodes. I'm sick of you, and I'm sickened by you. Now, I don't know what poor Dustin's chances are here of taking me on at Fyter Fest after you and your goons got to him, but if he can't compete, then I guarantee right now that he will get the first shot when I win next week. And Cody fires back, "Trust me, he ain't making it to next week. So you aren't going to be facing Dustin Rhodes for the world title. You're going to be facing Cody Rhodes."
Ooh.
Punk smiles. That works for him. He says, "So, I get to take on the fake champion for his title? That sounds great. I get to kick your ass and become AEW World Champion while doing it. See you next week, boss." And Dynamite ends there with the match set for Fyter Fest. Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. If CM Punk wins, he becomes the official AEW World Champion. If Cody wins, nobody really knows. I guess we'll have to find out. Dynamite, June 29th. It's the Fyter Fest special. So we get to Fyter Fest. Fyter Fest is one of those TV pay-per-views that AEW does, like Bash at the Beach or Fight for the Fallen. It basically replaces Dynamite 1 week, but is advertised as like a pay-per-view level show, and it usually is. Anyway, the main event is CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes, and an announcement comes out from Tony Khan via Tony Schiavone right before the match that if Cody wins, he will not become the AEW World Champion. It's cited that Cody dug his own grave in that regard, and he did. However, he will be allowed to compete in the match and act as a challenge for CM Punk's opportunity at the world title. The match starts, and again, we can't go move for move here, but the ending sequence is dodgy. We're going to have Aaron Solo, the man who CM Punk hit with a chair last week, hiding under the ring for the majority of the match. When the time is right, QT Marshmallow is going to distract the ref as Cody throws Punk headfirst into the turnbuckles. That will be Solo's time to strike. Solo cracks Punk over the head with a chair, Punk falls into a crossroads from Cody, and Cody pins him 1, 2, 3. Cody's won the match, but not the championship. He doesn't care though. He grabs the mic and announces himself as world champion, putting a foot on the chest of CM Punk, who is still knocked out from the Solo chair shot. With Cody Rhodes announcing himself as world champion, who is he really trying to convince here? The audience or himself? Either way, AEW still does not have an official world champion after Hangman Adam Page was stripped of the belt 4 weeks ago. Let's see what happens next. Dynamite, July 6th, 2022. Cult of Personality hits right at the start of the show. CM Punk lays down a challenge to Cody Rhodes, citing that he was screwed in that match by Aaron Solo's chair shot. He notes that he accepts Hangman beat him fair and square last month, but Cody resorted to weak tactics, which tells you the clear difference between those two men. CM Punk wants another shot. He wants another shot tonight. And he awaits a response, and then he gets one. As Rainmaker hits over the PA system and out walks Kazuchika Okada, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and I'll just be honest and hold my hands up right now, this is me just being a big fucking wrestling nerd. I needed to take CM Punk out of the story for now, and as it happens, the AEW New Japan event, Forbidden Door, is going to be a few weeks away, so like, why not just have Punk versus Okada on the card?
Dream match, right?
Dream match, exactly. It might actually happen as well. So if you're listening to this after Forbidden Door happens on July 26th, I think it is, let us know. Let us know if I was correct.
I like how we're making a lot of bets about what's going to happen in the next couple of months, right?
In the future, yeah. Exactly.
What
happens when you book the future.
What if like none of the shit we predict like ever comes true at all?
Yeah, the exact opposite happens.
Yeah.
We need to stop predicting shit.
Like they just no. Tony Khan hears it. Like, you know what? Out of spite, I'm just gonna do something different. I'm like, oh, come on.
The absolute opposite. Yeah, exactly. Well, but my second prediction for the event was going to be Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Stevie Richards. So maybe I should say that won't happen, and then it will. Tony Khan will book it. Is that how that works?
I think so. Boy, I would watch that match.
Yeah, boy, I sure hope Hiroshi Tanahashi doesn't lose in 5 seconds to Stevie Richards at Forbidden Door.
That would be a terrible thing to watch.
Don't do that, Tony Khan.
Boy, that would suck.
Yeah, I advise you against that. Anyway, a man can dream. But anyway, so that's CM Punk's next few weeks sorted. So he'll be taking on Okada, possibly for the IWGP Heavyweight title. So his focus is shifted from Cody Rhodes for now. And the show carries on, and later in the night, out comes the self-proclaimed AEW World Champion Cody Rhodes. Cody's once again dressed in his swab suit. He wears the title around his waist, and of course, as he walks down the ramp to the ring, thunderous boos. Cody gets into the ring and he has a microphone. He cuts a promo, not on CM Punk, not on Hangman Page, but on Tony Khan of all people. He's talking about not being acknowledged as the rightful champion, even though he is the closest thing that All Elite Wrestling has to a champion right now. He says, Tony, you can acknowledge me, don't acknowledge me, whatever you want. I really, really don't care, but until you find somebody who can beat me for this championship and pry it out of my cold, dead hands, it ain't going anywhere. And then music hits, interrupting Cody Rhodes, and it's the Rainmaker. No, okay, it's not really. It's
Kid Cash.
It's
The Rainmaker, Kid Cash.
every time. Do you remember Kid Cash's entrance music?
Sure.
Yeah, nobody does.
It wasn't Metallica. I'm pretty sure it was Enter Sandman.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he came out with a cane. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
through the crowd.
somebody had Enter Sandman. I'm pretty
Drinking
sure.
a lot of beer. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, that's Kid Cash.
The Kid Cash man. Yeah.
Yeah. He had a stick of some kind.
Yeah, that's it. Little cane.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was him.
Yeah. I remember Kid. Don't tell me about Kid Cash. I remember all about him.
We rebooted Kid Cash in like season 2. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really good.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we gave him a different name, as I recall.
I think we
just to
called
really
him
get over.
was it the Desert Man? Was it or something?
I don't remember what we called him. But
Something like that. Yeah. Sahara Man. Something.
yeah, just go back and listen to all of season 2. You'll find it. You'll figure out which one.
You'll see which one it is. Yeah. We call him a nickname. What his friends call him. But yeah. So it's not the Rainmaker. It's not Kid Cash either. It is the music of a returning Dustin Rhodes. The brother of Cody Rhodes, the man who Cody had his factory attack a fortnight ago. Dustin sports a nasty scar on his head from the assault, but he does not resort to violence. He gets in the ring and cuts a promo on his younger sibling, saying as much that he doesn't want things to get physical tonight. He is awfully focused on one thing though. He says, "Little brother, you screwed me out of a shot at the world title. And I don't care about that whole blood is thicker than water shit. Not anymore, because you and I know that gold is thicker than both put together. And maybe now I'm something of an expert on that, considering that gold made my blood pour out of my head a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what's changed in you, little brother, but all of a sudden you seem to have a lot of vendettas and a whole lot of insecurity. You're blaming other people for your own mistakes. You've become deluded, and since our daddy ain't here to wake you up to the man you've become lately, I guess that falls on me. I've spoken with one of the people you seem to have some kind of vendetta against, Tony Khan, and he's booked me a little match. Next week, it'll be Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes, and if I win, I'll officially be the first Rhodes to become AEW World Champion." There we go. We've got a match to look forward to next week. Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes. Brother versus brother. Bro v bro. I'm sure many of us here are aware that their first match at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view was fucking incredible. So, with the hype for that alone, I reckon a lot of people will be looking forward to this next week. Let's go there, in fact.
Is this on Dynamite?
This is going to be on Dynamite next week, yeah.
You wouldn't put that for a pay-per-view? Although I guess they space their pay-per-views out, I guess.
That's it, yeah. So they have like 4 pay-per-views a year,
Yeah.
yeah. So they have big Dynamites basically. So they've had plenty of world title matches on TV shows. They just had Adam Page versus Adam Cole and Rampage, Texas Death Match. So yeah, they do that anyway. So it's not WWE where you get a pay-per-view every fucking 2 weeks.
Hey, don't badmouth the WrestleMania Backlash.
There was no zombies this year. Have we discussed
What a
this?
shame.
There was no zombies or lumberjacks.
Oh boy, really ruined the whole thing for me. All they had was wrestling on it. It's ridiculous.
It's redonkulous, it really is. Not a fan. Dynamite June 13th. It's time for the match we were just discussing, because Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes. If Dustin Rhodes wins, he becomes AEW World Champion. It's the main event of the show, and they're going to have a good 20 minutes-ish match. We've seen quite recently on Dynamite that Dustin Rhodes, despite being 53, can still go in one-on-one matches. He's had matches this year against both Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. The dude still has the magic, so this match should be great. However, in the end, Cody is going to get the clean victory. He's a major heel, so we need to show that he's not really a weakling. He can get the job done and is one of the most formidable people on the roster. Of course, as the match ends, Cody holds the AEW title high above his head. With the beast Nick Comoroto standing next to him, ring announcer Justin Roberts is forced to announce Cody Rhodes as world champion. However, the night isn't over because Cody Rhodes isn't done. In the scene which we've become used to over the last while, the Factory enter the ring. They stand over a beaten Dustin Rhodes and, as predicted, start the assault. Poor Dustin gets his second mass beatdown in just a couple of weeks. Just like last time, Nick Comoroto holds Dustin up as Cody readies himself in the corner. Cody is about to strike Dustin with the heavyweight title when the crowd inexplicably start to cheer. Cody and the Factory look towards the top of the entrance ramp, stunned as the cameras switch and we see Tony Khan walking out, surrounded by the majority of the All Elite Wrestling roster. I'm talking 30, 40, 50 guys and gals, all with their eyes set on Cody Rhodes, the self-proclaimed world champion.
It's like 100, 200
It's
people.
easily like 100, yeah, you're right.
It's
If you
a lot
count
of
the guys on Dark as well, yeah, but let's say 50 for now.
Okay, yeah, that's easy to film.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Can't film 100 people. So, yeah, there's going to be notable omissions, obviously, like MJF and Jericho, for example, top heels who just wouldn't make sense to be a part of this, but there are huge names, like the Hardys there's Darby Allin and Sting, and their quad bikes, Eddie Kingston, Ruby Soho, Jurassic Express, Hikaru Shida, Pentagon, etc, etc, etc. They're all there, and it looks like they're all raging against Cody Rhodes and the Factory. All Tony Khan has to do is point as the AEW roster advance upon the ring, ready to stop the assault on Dustin Rhodes. Of course, Cody and the Factory know better than to just let this happen. They stop their beatdown and exit the ring, running through the crowd away from the Keith Lees, the John Moxleys and the Dante Martins of the world. It's quite a sight. One that would probably stick in your memory, right? I mean, this basically sends a message that the whole of AEW is tired of Cody Rhodes shit. You know, they've all joined together, most of them putting differences aside, to rebel against this guy who is making a mockery of the world title. And as Cody gets 1,000 people or so deep into the crowd, we see that he's brought a microphone with him. He starts going insane. He's psychotic as he screams into the mic with sheer, frantic passion. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm the reason you are all here. This company would not exist if it wasn't for me. I bled for you people. I jumped off cages for you people. God damn it, I lit myself on fire for you people. And this is how you treat me? This is the thanks I get? It's typical, and I ain't putting up with it anymore. You don't want me here? Fine. I prefer it that way anyway. I'm leaving, but I'm taking my belt with me. And as Tony Khan and the AEW roster look on, Cody finds the fire exit and leaves the building. True to his word, he has taken the AEW World title with him. Dynamite ends there. And so, on the July 20th edition of Dynamite, there is no Cody. There's not one sign of him in the building or on the screen. After all, he knows he is public enemy number one. Why risk somebody trying to steal the title from him? He's taken the week off, and it's probably wise to do so. That can't stop him being booked in matches though. If he's booked in a match, he is contractually obligated to compete. So, with the joint AEW and New Japan pay-per-view Forbidden Door taking place next week, it is announced that Cody Rhodes has been added to the card. Joining CM Punk versus Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Steve Richards, Cody Rhodes is announced in a one-on-one match against Tomohiro Ishii. Fuck, I did it again. But there's a reason for this. It's not just because I love Ishii, and you know I love Ishii.
That is only half of it.
Exactly. This match sort of makes sense, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. And
I'm listening.
Here's my presentation of why we have to shoehorn Ishii into the story. So, Cody Rhodes is everything that Ishii isn't. Like, Cody is flashy and feels that he has to prove his fortune everywhere he goes. Ishii could not be further from that. Cody Rhodes is a sports entertainer style wrestler, and he's got the height, the look, and the physique to complete it. Ishii wrestles and looks completely different to what you'd expect a sports entertainer to look like, and that is no criticism. Ishii's style and look work for him. But crucially, if you've ever seen a Tomohiro Ishii match, and you have, Dylan, it is really hard to not immediately root for the guy. He's got fighting spirit. He doesn't back down from any situation. He'll punch you in the face so hard that it will break his hand, but that won't stop him. He'll just keep punching you with the same broken hand if it helps him win the match.
That's what happened
tenacious.
to me.
That's it. He got punched repeatedly by Tomohiro Ishii, and this wouldn't stop. He's fucking tenacious, right?
He broke his hand punching me in the face. And I gotta say, I thought that was very rude of him.
Yeah. Well, you broke his hand.
Well, we were just in the line at Subway, and he just started punching me. I'm like, come on, dude.
Well, shouldn't you apologise to him for breaking his hand?
I was ahead of him. He can't cut in line, man. He's got to learn.
But anyway, apart from skipping the line, he's a tenacious kind of guy. You know, he's oddly endearing in a way that you feel sympathetic towards him, and he's just bad fucking ass. Like, Tomohiro Ishii is the perfect guy to take on Cody Rhodes at Forbidden Door. End rant. P.S. If you haven't checked out an Ishii match before, I would start at his G1 Clash versus Jon Moxley. That's what converted me to
Where
Ishii.
can people find that match? Did we put that whole match up on Patreon, or did we just put
we did, yeah, with the whole matches there, I think.
Well then check out our Patreon page.
Yeah, there you go, another plug out of nowhere.
How did that happen? What a mistake that was.
What a great match, though. What a great match.
It was very good. You guys should actually watch it.
Yeah, that's really good. But anyway, that's that. So we're going to end up at Forbidden Door 2022. And after Stevie Richards beats Tanahashi in 5 seconds flat, it's time for our semi-main event, which is Cody Rhodes, the self-proclaimed AEW World Champion, versus the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii.
I mean, I feel like Stevie Richards should have been the de facto main event, but I'll let it slide because it's not about Stevie Richards. So
that's it. It's not for the title. If it was for the title, Stevie Richards would be main event, right? That's how it works.
It was for the title of who is Stevie Richards,
and Stevie Richards won.
Stevie Richards won. Thank God. Boy, that could have been dangerous.
That's why it only took 5 seconds.
Yeah.
The referee was like, Hiroshi Tanahashi, is your name Stevie Richards? And Tanahashi's like, no. And then, okay,
well,
that's the match
Stevie
settled
Richards.
Then. That's
yeah.
it. I guess our winner is Stevie Richards.
That's how good Stevie Richards is. He doesn't even have to fight the match to win it.
That's it. He's that good. He's that damn good.
Anyway.
Of course, Cody Rhodes is going to win the match, but trust me, a win over Ishii does not come easy. Cody Rhodes will have to damn near kill this guy to get the victory. But eventually, he hits the third crossroads of the match, and Ishii is kept down for the 1-2-3. The Factory enter the ring, ready to beat down the man who dared to give Cody a hard battle, but they are stopped instantly when the entrance music of Hangman Adam Page plays through the PA system. Hangman Page, who was stripped of the AEW World title 58 days ago. Hangman Page, who has been suspended ever since. Hangman Page, who in recent tweets has made it clear that the toxicology reports are not exactly what they seem. But most importantly, this is Hangman Adam Page, and he has one hell of a grudge against the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Hangman gets himself onto the apron, bang! Buckshot lariat to QT Marshmallow. As Cody Rhodes and the Factory escape again, the returning Hangman Page tends to the fallen Tomohiro Ishii. The crowd chant Hangman's name. They are very happy that he is back. More so that he has returned to confront Cody Rhodes, AEW's most hated heel of the last 2 months. And we end the show there. Or we end the segment there. Not the show. Still got the main event.
Stevie Richards.
Again.
Yeah,
he's included into the... It's a triple threat now, baby.
He just loves wrestling that much, you know? He just did it for the people.
For the people, yeah. For the crowd. Well, see Steve Richards, exactly. On the Wednesday, July 27th edition of AEW Dynamite, Hangman Adam Page finally returns. And boy, does he have big news. But first, we kick off the show in the parking lot, where we see Cody's bus, the Nightmare Express. It's parked out there, but as the camera zooms in, we actually see Cody Rhodes himself through one of the windows. He's just chilling in his bus. He's just a normal man.
He's just an innocent man.
Just innocent man. Oh boy. Of course, the AEW World title is slung over his shoulder. Anyway, Hangman's music hits, and he comes out to the crowd who are going fucking crazy for him. He starts his promo by saying that he knows Cody isn't technically in the arena tonight, but he also knows that there's a live feed of Dynamite in that bus of his, so he is hearing every one of the Hangman's words. Hangman explains that he resents Cody for suspending him. He claims that he was not drinking on the evening of his title defense against Punk, nor was he the day prior, and now Hangman has proof. Remember the big news I said Adam Page would have? Well, he drops it now. Hangman Page has proof that the toxicology reports were doctored. Because yes, Page did do the whole pee in a cup thing for the random test, but the results given to AEW officials were not his. Hangman hired a private investigator who discovered that Cody Rhodes paid somebody at the biotech company to turn a blind eye to Hangman Page's actual results and then submit a completely different document just with Hangman's name on them instead.
That villain.
Absolute villain. And Hangman is not a villain, so he doesn't hold anything against AEW for this happening. He saw the toxicology report himself, and it was very convincing. However, he holds everything against Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes set the wheels in motion for the suspension. Cody Rhodes stripped the Hangman of the AEW World title. Cody Rhodes meticulously planned all of this, and now that son of a bitch is sitting in his nice plush bus with a belt that doesn't belong to him. Hangman has seen what Cody has been doing, and he's here to stop it. He promises, nay, he guarantees that he's going to take that belt from Cody Rhodes, or he's going to die trying. Later in the show, we get a tag team match. Hangman Page teams with Tomohiro Ishii to defeat QT Marshmallow and Aaron Solo of the Factory, Cody's faction. This keeps the momentum going for the feud for Hangman and gets our boy Ishii a win on Dynamite. You love to see it. Shoehorn. Meanwhile, there is no Cody Rhodes for the whole show. You know, we know that he's in his bus, but he's clearly just refusing to make an appearance. That's Dynamite for this week. Let's move on to next.
Get to the halfway point now, fellas.
Yeah, we are getting towards the end, actually. That's been a long story, I know. We're getting to the home straight here.
The Kid Cash bit.
The train tracks.
Yes, finally. I've been waiting.
Alright. Dynamite, Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. Cody Rhodes, still in his bus. Once again from the parking lot, we can see him through the windows of his massive tour bus. Is he once again not planning on walking into the arena tonight? It's almost as if he thinks of himself above being in the same arena as everyone else, especially after the mutiny that took place a couple of weeks ago. Tonight, we have a match scheduled between Hangman Page and Anthony Ogogo of the Factory. And for context, Ogogo is probably the most pushed member of the Factory on AEW TV. He's a legit bronze medalist in the amateur boxing, which he won at the 2012 Olympics, and he's been pushed kind of strongly in squash matches on Dynamite and Dark. Anyway, tonight we get a rare glimpse into the bus itself. We see Cody Rhodes speaking with Anthony Ogogo, but we do not hear any sound. Cody hands Ogogo something. It looks like a boxing glove. With the camera zoomed in, though, it's kind of hard to tell. I guess we'll find out later. Hangman vs Ogogo is the main event, and during the match, Hangman's going to be distracted by QT Marshmallow at ringside. This allows Nick Comoroto to search under the ring, where he pulls out a boxing glove. He tosses it to Ogogo, but it's clearly heavier than a regular boxing glove. It's a weighted glove. Hangman turns around, Ogogo goes to strike. That's not easy to say. Ogogo goes. Ogogo goes. But Hangman
sounds like you're just
ducks.
speaking Welsh.
Okay. Yes. It's not enough W's and Y's. But Hangman ducks the punch, and Ogogo punches QT Marshmallow with the weighted glove. Ogogo turns around, gets hit with a dead eye, and is pinned by Hangman Page. 1, 2, 3. After the match, we see the official announcement on the screen at AEW All Out 2022 on the 4th of September. It's going to be Hangman Adam Page going for the AEW World title with Cody Rhodes standing in his way. Page versus Rhodes. Finally. Well, next week, Cody Rhodes is unhappy. He's trying not to show it, but he's clearly a little bit anxious about his match against Hangman Page at All Out. With that in mind, he's going to do everything he can to make sure Hangman Page doesn't make it to the pay-per-view. Fairly standard, simple storyline, but it does the job for tonight. Cody Rhodes, using his EVP privileges, has organised an opponent for Adam Page tonight. In tonight's main event, Hangman Page will be going one-on-one with Satnam Singh, the 7'4" former basketball player brought to AEW by Jay Lethal and Sonjay Dutt. Hangman is going up against a literal giant, which is kind of a trope in wrestling at this stage, I guess. You know, send the big guy to take out my worst enemy kind of thing, right? But it works. Anyway, Hangman Page versus Satnam Singh happens, and though it is a struggle for Page, he does successfully manage to defeat Satnam Singh with a little bit of help from his buddies in the Dark Order. They'll be scrapping with Jay Lethal and Sonjay Dutt on the outside of the ring, which distracts the Giant long enough to be hit with a buckshot lariat, with Hangman Page getting the victory once again and sending a big fuck you to Cody Rhodes. Now, the August 17th Dynamite is going to air from a very specific location. This is going to be Daly's Place, an amphitheater in Jacksonville, Florida. Daly's Place is where AEW filmed the majority of their pandemic-era programming. The reason I have the show here is because there is direct access to the arena's parking lot from the ring. So during the pandemic era, there were often, vehicle-based entrances, such as FTR's debut or Trent's mum driving him and his best friends to the ring. Which you probably have to be a regular AEW viewer to understand that one. But anyway, we're going to go comedy this week, because over the last couple of months, week to week, it's been quite serious. We need some comic relief before the audience get burned out. So let's do that.
I don't know if you do need that. I'm just saying.
Really?
I don't know if you need it.
I think you do. If you got just serious storylines going over and over and again, you need a break from that. You need a week to rest, And you'll see what I've got planned here anyway. So
is this where Kid Cash comes in and roller skates?
So we're at the train tracks, right?
He's like, dude, I've been waiting at the train tracks for fucking months. Where have you guys been? Like, we've been doing a TV show. Like, fuck, dude, I had no idea.
Oh, Kid Cash, classic Kid Cash, always hanging out at the train tracks. So we're going to do a tiny bit of comedy here to break things up. So first off, we're going to have Hangman Page in the ring to survey the chaos that's about to go down. So on this show, from Daly's Place, all of a sudden, we can see Cody and the Factory frantically exiting the tour bus. They're all holding their noses, gagging, and trying to get as far away from the vehicle as possible. As the cameras get closer to the bus, we see a glimpse of the roof, where John Silver and Alex Reynolds are lobbing stink bombs into the bus via the sunroof. Cody Rhodes is angry. He starts walking towards the ring, appearing live in front of a crowd for the first time since Forbidden Door. He points at Hangman, furious, stating how fortunate he is that Cody was able to salvage the AEW World title from this stinky wreck. And then the cameras cut to Evil Uno in the driver's seat of the bus. He's wearing a gas mask over his wrestling mask.
I was going to say, a gas mask over his regular mask.
He was the perfect guy to do it with. To Cody Rhodes' abject despair, Evil Uno honks the horn of the multi-million-dollar Nightmare Express and starts to drive it away. Cody falls to his knees and screams, "My bus!" as the vehicle fades away into the distance of Daly Place. That's the last we see of the storyline this week. So a little bit of light-hearted comedy for now, just to get the story going kind of thing, and not just make it, oh my god, this is so serious, someone's going to die. Dynamite, August 24th, this week, we're going to get serious again. There's going to be a promo from Hangman Page about the AEW World title, which Cody Rhodes has been flaunting on social media all week. Cody's been tweeting that though Hangman and the Dark Order may have ruined his bus, they still don't have what he claims is his championship. Well, Hangman comes to the ring and starts talking about the AEW World title. He says, "This title is more than just a prize to show you're the best at something. It's what serves as a beacon for people who were told that they weren't good enough because they didn't wrestle a certain style. It stands for the sacrifice, the blood, the sweat, the tears that go into making it to this level, the elite level. It stands for raging against the machine, not accepting the status quo and having the balls to offer an alternative. And what's funny is, these are the exact things you stood for when you helped kickstart this company, Cody Rhodes. But now look at what you've become. Through nobody's fault but your own, you are a shell of your former self, to the extent that I don't really believe your former self was your true self. After all, you were only selfless until it inconvenienced you. And after you realised what you'd done, you slowly transformed into this ugly, selfish version of Cody Rhodes that we see today. That title doesn't belong to you. That title doesn't suit you. You no longer stand for any of the values that made All Elite Wrestling what it is today. And now that I am finally free of all the bullshit stopping me, I'm going to do what you dare people to do recently. I am going to pry that AEW World Championship from your cold, dead hands." Cody Rhodes then appears at the top of the ramp, but he's not here to talk. He just looks at the AEW Championship that he holds in his hands. He then looks at Paige and looks at the title. Paige, title, Paige, title. There's a contemplative look upon his face, and then he just walks away. The commentators speculate that the facial expression, there's something sinister in Cody Rhodes' mind, but what it is exactly can be anyone's guess. Dynamite ends as we head towards next week's go-home show for All Out. Dynamite, August 31st, 2022. The final Dynamite of today's fantasy booking, and boy, has it been a long one, but I just had so much fucking story to cram in today. Said it to you already, Dylan, but when I started writing, I just kept writing and writing. But anyway, here's how we capped this feud off. One more interesting little twist to the story. We're going to have Hangman in one more match, a tune-up match for All Out on Sunday night. We're going to put him in the ring with Nick Comoroto of the Factory, the final member. He's not taken on in a match since his return. Comoroto is an extremely tough test for Hangman since he is a beast. I mean, again, seriously, look this guy up. He has a fantastic look for pro wrestling. Anyway, it'll be a hard-fought match, but obviously Hangman is going to get the victory here. And as he hits the buckshot Larry and pins Comoroto, his entrance music hits, and then we get a video on the Titantron. There is a cameraman in the parking lot of tonight's arena, and he is pointing his camera at Cody Rhodes, who has his bus back. Hooray! Cody looks down at the camera from the driver's seat of his tour bus, which has evidently been found after Dark Order's hijacking. Presumably, it has also gone through a deep clean after the stink bombs that were lobbed into it. Cody, however, doesn't look like the smug champion he has been over the last couple of months. No, he looks maniacal. And strangely, we don't even see the AEW World title. It's not even on his person that we can see, at least. Of course, he's in the driver's seat of the tour bus, but you presume that he'd keep it on his shoulder to show everyone he's the champ, in case they forgot. But no sign of the title. Cody shouts his message for Hangman Page to the cameraman. He says, "Hangman, you are such a material man. You care so much about the AEW World title, which is mine. That's right, mine. I don't care what Tony Khan says. I don't care what the fans think. I, and I alone, have defended that championship and kept it out of the reach of people who will sully the image of what I created it in. My image. I appreciate you felt wronged, Hangman, but seriously, you hired a private investigator. You got your cronies to steal my bus. You're weakening yourself in matches week after week, and for what? The AEW World title, a lifeless piece of gold. You want this title so bad? Well, you've been playing games with me for weeks, so I hope to God you're good at jigsaws, Hangman, because this is going to be one hell of a challenge." And Cody Rhodes slams his foot on the accelerator and speeds the bus forward. It is at this stage the camera pans and we see the AEW World title on the concrete floor of the parking lot. Cody releases the handbrake and drives over the AEW title. He drives over it and reverses over it multiple times until it is reduced to nothing more than just a pile of misshapen chunks of gold. The world title has been destroyed by this spiteful, selfish, deranged Cody Rhodes. Excalibur, Shivani and Ross verbally crucify Cody Rhodes. They say his attitude is very, "If I can't have this championship, then nobody can." The non-champion shouts into the camera from his bus, "What does the title stand for now, Hangman? I'll see you at All Out on Sunday, but let me tell you, that mess on the road ain't gonna be part of it." And Cody drives off as Dynamite ends. The commentators angrily plug All Out this Sunday as Hangman looks on, frustrated, vexed, furious, but with a look of solid determination in his mind. Was it really about the title? Or was it about dispatching this clown named Cody Rhodes? I guess we'll have to go to All Out to find out. And hey, here we are. The culmination of today's fantasy booking All Out 2022. And you know me, I like to leave things open at the end, offer a few possibilities, but for this one, I can only really think of one, and that's a Hangman victory. This has been Cody Rhodes' fantasy booking, but I've told the story in a way where he simply must be pulled down from his throne. He's become an out-of-control tyrant who the entire AEW roster has rallied against, and having just destroyed their world title, there wouldn't be a person backstage who has any time for him. They're sick of him, the fans would be sick of him, so having Hangman win this match would be the ideal way to end things here. This is his redemption after being screwed over and stripped of the world title back in June. When the bell rings to end the match, most of the roster is going to join Hangman in the ring to celebrate as Tony Khan presents him with a new AEW World Championship belt. And my idea behind all this was maybe you give Hangman his own belt design to really propel him into superstardom, you know? Like similar to how Stone Cold got the Smoking Skull title or Cena got the Spinny title.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, Hangman gets a spinny title.
It spins,
but
it spins.
It's got like a beer in it, so when it spins, and like he holds it above his head, so when he spins it around, so the beer like drips into his mouth.
That's pretty clever, actually. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, let's make that part of the lore. Let's do it. He's got this spinny beer belt.
Thank you.
But it's a feel good moment to end one of AEW's biggest shows, and what more can you ask for than that? Going forward, there's a few things you can do with Cody. Obviously, he has unfinished business with CM Punk, so that's the first thing. But I'm imagining if I book Cody, he gets, in storyline stripped of his EVP position and basically has to work from the bottom to regain it. He'll try and get in Tony Khan's good side again, acting like a babyface when he is clearly a heel. That is until he is stopped by the next rising star in AEW. Who could that be? If you're listening to this, let us know. Tell us where you think Cody should go next. But until then, that has been my fantasy booking of Cody Rhodes' AEW heel turn. What do you think?
Well, you've certainly turned him into a heel.
He's a big fucking bastard.
He's a big bastard, yeah.
Big bastard.
To your point at the end, like that's what I would do with Cody Rhodes going forward is
Make
have
him
have him like kind of begging for forgiveness for all the people that he screwed over, but he's very clearly like going to fuck him over again,
Yeah.
So he's still a heel, like keep that going. So he's trying to gain people's trust and stuff like that, but he's still like he's going to turn on them again eventually. So that's what I would do with that. I think you've built Cody up as like a legit kind of big monster heel. I think you've got a really good storyline that involves the championship, right? Because AEW haven't done like a vacancy kind of angle before with their heavyweight championship. So that's like a first. That's interesting. I think it puts a lot of shine on Hangman Page, which is a really good thing. Like I think AEW fans they want to get behind Adam Page. They really like him. But I personally haven't seen a whole lot of like storylines that have happened with him as a champion, and I'd like to see more of that. And with this, you've got like a really good storyline that puts sympathy on Page and puts heel heat on Cody. So I think that works really because we all know what the outcome is going to be. Hangman's going to be Cody. That has to be the way it goes. But you've done it in a way where it all makes sense, and it's taken a couple of months. There's slow build. But it makes Hangman at the end of it look great, and Cody comes out of it still looking like a monster heel. So all that shit like totally makes sense. You know what I mean?
That's it, man. It's like it's Cody Rhodes booking, but at the end of every great heel run, there's a comeuppance, right? There's got to be something like that, and like you see it with MJF currently in AEW as well. Like Wardlow's eventually going to get his get his revenge in MJF, and like just like this one as well. And I do agree that Hangman Page hasn't been booked great as a champion so far. I mean, there's not been that many.
He's had good matches, but there's been no
very
stories.
Good matches. Yeah.
Exactly right. I think we can both agree on that. Is that he's had some really good matches, and he, as a champion, he's put on good matches. But you're like, he needs that kind of like story. Like if he gets a good storyline to sink his teeth into, then people are gonna go, "That's a great champion." Now we're behind him. And I think that this is the kind of thing that he needs, especially with a guy like Cody Rhodes who can fill that role and pick up the slack there. I think that kind of works. So I like using CM Punk, of course, that makes sense. And Cody Rhodes firing Punk or whatever, was good heel heat.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Him doing that piss test with Hangman Page and getting him suspended, good heel heat. Stuff like this, pulling the strings as the EVP, that's good heel heat. Again, it's such a simple thing, and you're like, why didn't somebody do that more?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whenever Kenny Omega was the champion, like they totally could have done something like that.
Yeah,
I don't think they touched on it, but like that would have totally made sense, and that would have had a real reason as to why, Tony Khan didn't want him as champion, is because Omega pulled his own strings, but you've done it here. I'm like, that's great, that's good stuff. I like you using. Obviously, you'd have to use Dustin Rhodes, but you've given us a legit reason to have like the rematch. You know, like you said, that first match that they had, Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes, was pretty popular. Now you've given people like a good reason to see a rematch, not just because like, hey, let's do it again. You know, like now there's a fucking reason for it.
Story behind it, yeah.
Exactly, building shit up, right? That's how this is what booking's about. And I think this is what people don't get. Like booking isn't just going, Bill versus Carl, see you later. It's like, well, you have to build up reasons for the fights, and you have to make it all make sense, right? And I think that you've done a lot of that in this storyline. So I did like that a lot, you know. Like I said, I think that the thing I like the most is putting the shine on Hangman Page, right? Because like you said, it's a Cody Rhodes heel turn, but the whole point of a heel is to have a good babyface beat the heel, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's a good way to build up Hangman Page while making it seem like it's about Cody. Like that's clever stuff, you know.
That's it as well. And like I really enjoyed the challenge of this as well, of doing the whole, you know, don't just put the belt on him,
right?
You know, sorry, Cody Rhodes stands. You know, I wanted to book AEW out of that corner kind of thing because I enjoy doing that. I enjoy finding the situation where, you know, how are we gonna have Cody Rhodes be a main event star without being champion, and that's how you do it. You know, I think he just he was never champion, but in his own head, in his own belief, he was champion. You know, that kind of thing. He's getting so, I don't know if neurotic's the right word, but so just focused on him being champion that he doesn't care what anyone else thinks, even though he's not officially champion. So that's how you get out of it if they were to bring him back at some point. Right,
exactly. Like he's not officially the champion, but he's representing himself as a champion. He's taking it upon himself, and he's like, "Why are you booing me? I'm what you want. I'm a real fighting champion, you know. I'm better than the part-time CM Punk. He just came back out of nowhere. I'm better than this drunk. You know, I'm what AEW represents. Like that's the shit I would like. Obviously, we can't go like week to week and do every single promo or whatever, but like that's in this storyline. That's what I would focus on. Like Cody Rhodes being the self-righteous kind of like asshole. Like, what are you booing me for? I'm right, you know, because that's. I'd written that down as well because that's what I would put the shine on a lot is Cody Rhodes pulling that angle because you know that was CM Punk's old heel stuff, you know, where he could do the street edge stuff.
Street edge, yep.
Technically, he's right, but the way he's saying it is, you know, really jerky and horrible.
Exactly.
So like that's that kind of stuff, I think. But again, you've kind of mentioned that in the rebooking and everything. So yeah, good stuff, man.
That's it, man. Thank you. I enjoyed writing that. It's good. It's good to be back. Good to be back for season 6 of Making Kayfabe, and we've got a lot more great stories where that's coming from, folks. But first, before we wrap up the show, it's time to play a little game.
Kayfabe Tombola.
Let's do a bit of Kayfabe Tombola. It's the return of Kayfabe Tombola, and not only Kayfabe Tombola, but fan-submitted Kayfabe Tombolas. If this is your first episode of Making Kayfabe, let me briefly explain what Kayfabe Tombola is. In Kayfabe Tombola, we have 4 random wrestlers, numbered 1 to 4, and 4 random scenarios, lettered A to D. The co-host who did not write today's story will choose a number-letter combination, and then they'll have 60 seconds-ish to improvise the greatest wrestling storyline ever based on that wrestler and scenario. This week's Tombola is submitted by one of our patrons who goes under the name I Miss Going Outside. Big thanks to you, matey, for submitting this week's Tombola. We know we've had your support for a long time, and you're the reason we have that cool TV tropes page. And hey, really appreciate it, man. So keep on rocking. Anyway, as it happens, I Miss Going Outside actually has an AEW themed Tombola to go along for today's episode. So
my specialty.
Your specialty is your special subject, and it's all very well-known people in AEW as well. So, but without further ado, Dylan, can you give me your most random number-letter combination?
I think to start off season 6, I'm going to have to go with my classic, the old 3D.
Oh, the old Dudley choice.
The Dudley Boys, the Dudley Boy special.
Alright, let's do this. So, do you know who you could have had?
Why not?
You could have had Dark Order's number 10.
Okay.
You didn't get number 10.
Thank fuck, because I don't know nothing about that guy.
Really? He's one of the best ones.
They're all the best ones.
He's
right?
the 10th best one, yeah.
Out of 12.
You didn't get him. You could have got Serpentico.
Okay.
I told you it's very well known AEW
Yeah.
wrestlers.
I actually seen a Serpentico match before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a wrestler. He's just
He's
often on like dark.
Technically,
Yeah.
he is a wrestler. I did not
He is-
care for that match. Let me put it that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Serpentico, really?
Yeah. Oh, it's
Alright,
terrible. Although, to be fair, the person he was wrestling was Joey Janela.
Oh,
Now
right,
that I
okay,
think
so
about it,
it's
you're like, all right.
immediately- Yeah.
You know, yeah, okay, all right.
That does make sense. Yeah, fair enough. You didn't get Serpentico. You could have got.
Oh, I hope I got Joey Janela.
You didn't get. No one gets Joey Janela. You could have got Captain Sean Dean.
Okay.
You didn't get him either.
Jesus Christ.
I told you it's well known people.
Oh, no.
He's beat MJF twice on Dynamite.
Oh,
He has 2 victories over MJF.
technically.
Technically, yeah. Or is it one or two? One over MJF, one over Sean Spears, something like that. But anyway.
Anybody could beat Sean Spears. Come on, man.
Who you did get, you might know this one actually. Who you did get was Kira Hogan.
Okay.
You know Kira Hogan?
A little bit. I think she was in
in
TNA.
Impact for Impact. For a long
I keep
while,
calling
yeah.
it It hasn't been TNA for years, and I keep calling it TNA.
I think it's it's habit, isn't it? I do it as well, from time to time. But yeah, she was in TNA for Impact for fucking hell. She was in
See?
Impact for a while. She is no relation to Hulk Hogan. That's just her last name. And yeah, she's great. She's signed with. I don't know if she's actually signed with AEW recently, but she's part of the baddie section at the moment with Jay Cargill. So. That's something, but you got Kira Hogan anyway.
It's something.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know what it is, but it is something.
Yep.
So you got 3D, right? The old Dudley choice. So
Oh yeah.
here's situations you could have got. You could have got Kira Hogan comes under suspicion when their opponent starts spontaneously combusting in ring.
Okay.
You didn't get that. You could have got Kira Hogan no shows one night, which somehow causes chaos and the collapse of the company.
Oh, that would be good.
You didn't get that. You could have got my favourite one, which you didn't get. You could have got this one. You could have got Kira Hogan experiences the bubble wrap incident.
Oh,
What is this?
Oh,
and how does it affect them?
we can't curse the episode by talking about the bubble wrap incident. That's
Oh no, that's for future. That's for future rebooking. The bubble wrap incident.
Well, I don't even know if legally we're allowed to talk about the bubble wrap
Yeah,
incident.
we need to wait for the waivers to clear and all the
Yeah,
rest. But
could take a couple of weeks to clear that, you know.
Season 9 maybe for the bubble wrap incident. I
We'll have to
think.
talk to our lawyers about that.
Yeah, that's it. Our lawyers who specialise in bubble wrap esque incidents. Yeah, exactly, and the sort.
There's more than you think.
There's
It happens
several.
a lot. Yeah.
Think of how much bubble wraps there is. Think of how many bubbles are in one fucking wrap of bubble wrap. That's
like
a lot of bubbles.
50?
Yeah, like fucking millions. So
50 millions. What's the difference?
once you have 50, you may as well have a million, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but you didn't get that.
Okay.
What you got was Kira Hogan gets wrestling boots with a mind of their own that force him to kick all of their friends.
Okay, so they kick Kira Hogan's friends?
Yes, the boots
Yes.
force her to kick her friends. It's
Okay.
like it's kind of like the wrong trousers, you know?
Yes.
Morrison Gromit. Yeah. It's just-
I wish you hadn't said that because that's what I was going to do. And now you've given the game away. I got to come up with it.
no, it's the wrong trousers.
Now I got to do a close shave instead.
Oh, nice. Good references there.
Forces Kira Hogan to kick all of her friends into a machine that cuts all their wool off.
And they go to the moon, and the moon's made of cheese. And,
The robot chases him on his skis. Anybody in America who has not seen Wallace
I
and
was going to
Gromit-
say, like, is that big in America? I don't even know. If
I don't
it
think
is.
so.
Like,
It's a very British thing, isn't it?
yeah, it's extremely British. Yeah, the guy's got a bloody Yorkshire accent, isn't he?
Yeah, but that's what's so like quaint about it. It's a very sweet show.
Yeah.
Wallace and
If
Gromit.
you're legitimately interested in this, just to step away from the show for a second, but if you have seen Wallace and Gromit and you're in America or outside the UK even, let us know, because that's
Not the
actually
film.
quite interesting to me. No, they're TV
Not-
shows.
Yes,
The
yeah.
good- the
We're
good
talking
shit.
about the original three. Like they
Yeah.
were like half-hour long kind of shorts.
Yeah.
They play them every Christmas.
Stop animation, right?
Yeah.
Stop,
Stop
something
motion.
like that.
Yeah.
Stop motion animation, that's the one. But anyway, like we're getting ahead of ourselves. Wallace and Gromit, that's for our other podcast, our Wallace and Gromit podcast.
Am I stalling too much?
The classic Kayfabe Tombola
Uh
style.
oh.
All right, so
Yeah, let's fucking. Should
yeah,
we just go?
You ready to do this?
Yeah.
You ready to do this?
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, you've got 60 seconds-ish to tell me all about how Kiera Hogan gets wrestling boots with a mind of their own that force her to kick all of her friends.
Can I before we start? Can I just make one thing? I just want to
Yes.
I just want to double check something.
Yes.
Since I don't know dick about AEW,
Yes.
I assume I can just make up who Kiera Hogan is friends with.
Well, yeah, I mean, I said earlier her friends are... she's got Jade Cargill as one of her friends in that kind of faction.
Are they
and,
friends though, or are they just work acquaintances? You know what I mean?
Acquaintances, yeah, like it's Velvet Sky as well, but yeah, you probably don't know who that is. But yeah, make up her friends.
Okay.
Kiera Hogan's best friend, Stevie Richards.
Well, let's see how it goes.
All right, I'm going to count you down in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Okay, so Kiera Hogan is a wrestler, and she goes and she's like getting ready to wrestle, but she's like, dude, I don't have any wrestling boots. What am I going to do? So she goes to try and find some new wrestling boots. She sees an advert in Craigslist that's like, selling wrestling boots. So she goes there, but the advert is like a house, but it's not a house. It's like a tent in the middle of the woods. She goes inside, and it's actually a witch, and the witch sells her the wrestling boots. But Kiera Hogan's like, I just fucking need the boots, man. I don't care about your life story. I don't care if you're a witch. So she gets the boots, and then she goes back on the AEW TV show. But of course, because the witch sold her the boots, they're cursed. They're cursed wrestling boots. So no. Kiera Hogan is like, I'm going to put these boots on and fight somebody in AEW. But whenever she gets... but she's a heel as well, right?
Hikaru Shida.
Hikaru Shida, right. But whenever Kiera Hogan puts the boots on, they're in the ring and she's getting ready to kick. But she goes to kick, but then the boots like start to like move her away from Hikaru Shida, and she like catapults out of the ring like a heat-seeking missile, like, and she ends up kicking Shark Boy right in the face. She's best friends with Shark Boy. Shark Boy was in the audience. He was sitting front row eating popcorn. And then Kiera Hogan like hones in on him like a missile, kicks him in the face, and she's like, it was the boots. And then the commentators are like, we don't know what this means. Let's cut the commercial. And then they cut the break. And then when it comes back, something else is happening. You know, Orange Cassidy's playing the accordion while they're riding the unicycle. I don't quite know. And then that happens every week.
Every week.
Is that a minute?
Kick Shark Boy, that's a minute, yeah.
Yeah. Kick Shark Boy. Good thing Shark Boy was there, right?
Of course Shark Boy's there. Of course he is.
Yeah.
Kiera Hogan's best friend, Shark Boy.
Yeah, well, that's it. I was like, I can make up whoever her friends are, right?
That was very good.
To be fair, I was going to say Kid Cash, and then I thought, no, you know what? I'm going to swerve everybody, bro.
He's too obvious a joke
swerve
now,
him.
yeah. We've killed the joke already.
Exactly. See, never give people what they're expecting. Always twist and turns. That's how you do it, man.
That's it. We've got plenty of wrestlers to throw randomly in there, so.
Well, we did.
Oh man, just imagine her with those boots, like kicking, and then just like the penguin at the side of the stage, you know, little evil penguin, with the controls. Oh man, I had to watch that shit again. That's such good shit. If you haven't seen Wallace and Gromit, go fucking watch it, man. What are you waiting on?
Yeah. And he does the train set, remember? That looks amazing.
The Kid Cash train set.
That looks amazing.
Full circle.
On like a stop motion animation. That's stunning. Yeah. I don't know how they did that.
It was like 1995 or something as well, right? Really?
Yeah, it was amazing.
They've done a really good job. It must have taken them fucking ages, but
yeah.
All right, that was
anyway.
That was a great tombola. Thanks for that. You did what you could with that. I mean, you don't know any AEW wrestlers aren't on Dynamite, I guess. So, so it wasn't easy.
Well, I don't know who Kiera Hogan's friends are. Yeah. Like, how am I supposed to know that? And now we know it's Shark Boy.
It's Shark Boy, just Shark Boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her friends are Shark Boy.
Well, the other ones weren't there.
Yeah. By the way, Kayfabers, we are almost out of fan submitted Kayfabe Tombolas. In fact, we may even be completely out, so I need to do a few checks. But if you want your Tombola featured in this season of Making Kayfabe, all you got to do is DM us on Twitter or Instagram at Making Kayfabe, or email us at makingkayfabe@gmail.com. Give us 4 random wrestlers, 4 random scenarios, and we will do the rest. Now let's wrap this show up. Hey, that was Making Kayfabe. If this was your first episode, thanks for checking us out. We hope you enjoyed what you heard. We've got loads of episodes in the back catalogue that you can wrap your ears around. Our listeners recently voted on our top 5 episodes of all time, which ended up being King Regal, Keith Lee, Sean O'Hare, Kurt Angle's retirement, as well as a tie between John Cena's heel turn and the right to censor. So hey, those are good ones to check out. If you are a returning listener, thanks as always for your support. We always feel super blessed to have people downloading our episodes every week. We genuinely enjoy writing and recording these episodes, and we're really happy that you dig what we do. Plugs. We're at Making Kayfabe on Twitter and Instagram. Remember, we need Kayfabe Tombola submissions. Don't hang around, as slots usually fill pretty quickly. If you want to support Making Kayfabe with your wallet, we do have a Patreon page at patreon.com/Making Kayfabe, where you can access exclusive fantasy bookings for as little as £5 per month. Between seasons 5 and 6, we added exclusive fantasy bookings on Albert, the BWO, Danhausen, and Pete Dunne, bringing the total number of exclusive bookings up to 16. For £5, that's 31p per episode. What can you buy for 31p these days? Literally fucking nothing. Not even a bag of crisps. But you can...
Well, if you listen to the Tories talk, they're like, 31p,
a
you
meal
could
a
buy
day, yeah.
a week's worth of food. Like, oh, that's a bit rich coming from the guys who get all their expenses paid for and make like £80,000 a year, huh? Oh, yeah, you can feed your family. Sorry for taking this outro to a weird place. But like, This is what politics has devolved into, people. A bunch of assholes telling us this is why we need that Patreon money, because we can't afford food.
We need that Patreon money because fuck the Tories.
Exactly.
But you can get access to Making Kayfabe on Patreon and support what we do. That's at patreon.com/Making Kayfabe. And finally, if you dug this episode, please shout about it, let social media know, or throw us a quick 5-star review or a thumbs up wherever you're listening to this. It's free, it takes seconds, and it helps us convince more people to check us out. Anyway, Dylan's back with a fantasy booking of his own next week. Have you got a clue for the listeners on what you're booking, Dylan?
Yes, I do. I think this might be a first
Oh.
in Making Kayfabe, where I'm actually going to be rebooking somebody that we've already booked.
Already booked. Interesting.
Somebody...
I thought you were going to go down the route of we're going to put Kid Cash on a set of train tracks,
we're going to
right?
put somebody on the train tracks. But who can it be?
Who can it be?
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. This Kid Cash. So, I mean, I've rebooked NWO before, but that didn't count. You know, obviously.
That was an official part 2. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it was a part 2. But this isn't a part 2. This is a completely different rebooking of somebody that has already been rebooked on this show. Who could it be?
Who could it be?
It's not going to be Kiera Hogan.
It's not.
Spoiler alert.
That rules her out anyway.
Yeah.
Narrows down who it could be.
But it's somebody pretty big. Somebody that, well, I don't want to give too much away, but I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised. So I think you're going to have to make sure to say subscribed. Hit the subscribe button on every podcast app that you're on. Follow us on Twitter to make sure you stay in touch to hear what next week's episode is going to be. I guarantee you're not going to want to miss it.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Alright, Kayfabers, that's us for today. We'll be back next Tuesday, but until then, take care and always be Kayfabe.
Goodbye.